As we link up with author, columnist for the province and Postmedia, he's settling all accounts in 2025 before bidding the year farewell. It's Mr. Patrick Johnston here on Securis and Price.
Oh, boy.
How was your weekend? Hi. Busy, prolific. Did a lot of writing.
This is a resident silverback.
Yeah.
He's pounding his chest and taking on all comers.
Oh, my. Yes. What a
all
week
right.
in the world of your... We're here to talk about 4 straight wins, right?
Yeah,
right,
just that.
right.
That's the difficult backdrop of all your reporting on the weekend. It's with 4 straight wins, right?
I think that's why some are big mad at Patrick. We'll get to that in about 15, 20 minutes. First, so here's the thing. I'm here to back him up a little bit. I've been told earlier in the season, Quinn and Elias aren't as close as they used to be. Yeah. Now, I think some of that is natural. Like, we're all of the age, right? When you get married, you have children, priorities change, and all of a sudden you're not spending as much time with your buddies as you used to, right?
Yeah.
So it makes it so special now when we get to all go out and have an evening at this stage of the game. And look, the other thing, Quinn and the room not being thrilled, amused, happy with Elias and the summer he had, the previous summer he had in terms of showing up in the best shape possible, being ready to build off that second round exit. Yeah. We all knew that. Everybody had mentioned that. My question is more, do you believe that sort of the urgency and acceleration of the Quinn Hughes trade was at all brought on to either a diminishing relationship with Elias or a look over to Elias' stall and saying, I'm not going to win with that guy?
No, but I think I don't think it had an impact on timeline. The timeline is as I think's been described, in that Jim Rutherford looked at where things were at and said the value is now. Perhaps it'd be a little more valuable at the coming trade deadline, but the drama just wouldn't be worth it. We'd already seen how it was wearing on the player in the room. But yeah, I mean, the relationship, as you've described, it had evolved to a point where it was not he's not at the dinner, and that's why. I mean, and that was the purpose and why I kind of wrote that note. I mean, I realized, and sort of blew up, and Reddit takes it, and you realize, oh yeah, there's a lot of people out there who don't follow the day in and day out of the Vancouver Canucks, and don't realize that Elias-Pettersson had been criticized heavily by his coach last year for his practice habits. And that, was one of many players who was singled out by management in 2022. If you remember Patrick Allvin's first end of season press conference, essentially calling out the preparation of the star players, saying you guys are capable of so much more than what you have done to date. And that Quinn Hughes was one who really took that on board and raised his preparation, his understanding of nutrition, everything to a level that got him the Norris Trophy. I think we've heard the story of last season, very well. And the comparison point, for instance, I mean, JT Miller getting hurt in training camp didn't help, but Miller had come in as well. Like he was like, no, let's build off that playoff run. I want to win the Stanley Cup. And there was such a sort of dichotomy in how things happened. So that was sort of back of my mind. And, these are all things that we perhaps know if we're following the daily story, but if you're not here, it is true. Right. Like, whoa, the stars don't get along. And that's, I just thought I'd touch on that because it was a piece that Mike Russo and Joe Smith revealed that they weren't at there was a few guys at the dinner and PD wasn't one of them.
Yeah. I guess the bigger question for me is, like, do you believe the Miller-Pettersson feud and Elias emerging even after being the guy who wasn't in great shape coming into the season? Do you believe that's linked to Quinn and asking to be traded?
I mean, I think the whole mess. I mean, listen, obviously, I'm sure we're going to touch on this well. Big weekend, talked to Rick Tocchet as well, right? Like, and Rick, I said, listen, I wasn't going to hand him over the head with it, but we still talked about it. And he said, I don't know. Could we have gotten to that problem earlier? I don't know. The problem existed. Miller left. The team clearly was no longer designed as it had been. And in that equation, with Pettersson as sort of the last standing guy from what had been let's remember how impressive the group of three that was at center with Horvat, Miller, and Pettersson. Pettersson being the last guy. Hughes looking, what's my future here? What does this roster look like? Yeah, I mean, the proof's in the pudding. He didn't see enough here. Listen, whether and I think Rutherford said we don't know if this would have was there an alternative path here? I don't know. Right?
Well, winning is the alternative path, guys. If they're winning, of course. Yes. Of course, Quinn Hughes stays. It's a high bar, and I've been on record saying if they're the first wild card team, I don't think he stays for that. They needed to be a better team than that. They needed to have a more certain trajectory than that. But even with all this drama, if the Canucks had made deals that kept the Canucks afloat and a contending team, I don't think Quinn Hughes is begging to get out if they're a division leader or number 2 in the Pacific. I don't think he's asking out.
Well, and the Canucks equation is different too, right? Like they can still live with a season where they're chasing something here and some uncertainty about Quinn Hughes' future in 2027, right? That's the other thing. That what became clear here, as Jim Rutherford said, is that it was time to go in a new direction, right? It sucks. We gave up the best defenseman in team history, but we need to be a different team. We need to be setting for a different future, which makes me wonder about Elias Pettersson's future and Thatcher Demko's future and all that. If you're being ruthless, as I think Hughes perhaps had to be, because he had to say, what do I want to be? Where do I want to go? And it was not here, right? He had to say, what do I think is going to happen? Is in many ways the same as I think Rick Tocchet had to decide last spring. What would I like? I would love to coach the Vancouver Canucks to the Stanley Cup. Is that likely? Is Quinn Hughes going to be here?
Just in terms of Pettersson not being at the dinner, a lot of players weren't at the dinner.
Yeah.
And his wife, Caitlin, was in town based on her social media of the two of them skating at Rockefeller Center. I got to admit, it's been a while since I've traveled with an NHL team on a regular, but is it routine now for injured players to go and the spouses of injured players to go with them, and for the spouses and the players to go about recreational activities during these road trips? I don't know if that's normal anymore or not.
It's funny. We were talking.
Apparently, there were other wives and girlfriends who were in New York City. I can understand New York at Christmas. Everybody wants to go, so no fault there. But I'm just wondering about procedure in terms of what NHL teams and coaches stand for in terms of quote unquote distraction. It's a terrible word because your spouse is not a distraction, but in terms of the group locking in and being with the group and outsiders on the road.
Well, I mean, let's recall for starters that, teams have made it a regular thing to have a dad's trip or a mom's trip or whatever. Now, the Canucks, as far as I know, didn't do one of those last year. They did do a mentor's trip in 2024. But the fact they were in New York for a week, it was interesting, by the way. They, we got the schedule and we can see what PR announces, whatever. And Wednesday was down as a quote travel day because, of course, I guess they had to go out to, Uniondale or wherever they stay now. But for the most part, they were I believe in Manhattan. And, the idea that wives would be able to come on a little side holiday while they were in New York, because this timing played out. I mean, it actually seemed totally reasonable to me. And listen, let's recognize where the Petterssons are at. I understand where they're at. Losing your first pregnancy is horrifying. It stays with you forever. And if you haven't experienced that, I don't know what to tell you. It's an immensely intense emotional moment. And so there's a lot going on there. So that to me, I didn't think it was, I touched on it briefly. It's not,
it's a non-story. It's a non-story unless the NHL continues to operate in this world where when we're on the road, it's only the boys and we don't want any outsiders around.
No,
so if you've broken down those barriers and said, no, wives and girlfriends are more than welcome to come join us on the road. Families, mom's trips, dad's trips are more than welcome to come and join us on the road. Then at that point, you're looking at a non-story. I just wasn't familiar with.
It's actually pretty progressive of them, guys.
It is.
Yeah. And the fact that they won actually sort of really
spot on.
Because
spot on.
If they're a distraction, my goodness,
time.
It's not showing right now. Very, very odd. And the fact that it's an upper body injury, was he skating at Rockefeller or something like that? Like, there's no risk of an ACL tear here if he's got an upper body injury. So that tracks as well.
Yeah.
Now it is weird that he's not back. Like, what's going on? Have you heard anything more on the injury here, Patrick?
Very weird.
Because he was supposed to be playing all along the way.
Yeah. Skated on Thursday? I mean, I think I joked before we went on air, right? The Hoaglander's not playing. Is there a requirement that at least one offensive player be scratched every game here because they don't want to win too much, But no, it is odd. Like if you're going on the road, usually you're going to, I mean, I suppose if this was a big family trip, then maybe that's all it is. And he just was able to come along and was able to practice on Thursday. And maybe he was going to be able to play, but as it looks like he's not playing in Philly. And so that's an entire trip, right? Like it was a long trip, a long time away, and got to be with his team, right? I mean, you're part of the team, but it's always that tricky one too. You always, guys always say when you're hurt, no one really wants to be near you. Whether it's superstition or just sort of the mentality of, well, you're not playing tonight, so why are you here?
The good news is they've got a break here. They got the break here now, and they actually have a pretty Matt and I, because of our new line of work here in the digital space, we keep track of sort of how many games are between Boxing Day and New Year's every year, and this is as busy as I remember them. Like, so they're gonna, I would think they look forward to having him back because they actually have a pretty busy post Boxing Day schedule, and that's pretty rare for them. They usually play like 1 or 2 games.
Yeah. I mean, well, you've got the 27th, which they always seem to have, and then the 30th? Is that right? That's Philly on the 30th, isn't it?
29th and 30th. They're into Seattle. This has been a thing now too.
Right.
They go and do a quick little drive away. I don't know. Is it a flyaway? Is it a drive away? I don't know how they get to Seattle. I mean,
they fly.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And then that's right. So Monday the 29th in Seattle, then Tuesday the 30th back here at home against Rick Tocchet, where he gets to meet the Rogers Arena faithful again. That should be interesting. Let's ask you the poll question while we're at it. They better off without Tocchet?
No. I mean, just look at the Philadelphia Flyers. Like, that's a team that is not perfectly constructed. Short on centers. Would love to upgrade his defense core. I mean, they were interested in Quinn Hughes, but the Canucks we saw what the Canucks got, and the Flyers didn't have an ability to match that. It's a team that, as Rick Tocchet said in my piece, said we're fun, we're wild, we're heart attack every night, like one goal shootout, but like he's having fun. He appreciates the sort of the desire of players to listen and learn, and I think very similar to what he had connected with here, right? Like, this is a guy that loves teaching. This is a guy that if he had not been such a good hockey player, I think would have been an amazing PE teacher, right? Like, he's a guy that cares about the people in his charge. And
a good coach or great coach? Are you prepared to say great coach?
Well, I mean, he hasn't won anything. He has, he squeezed a lot of juice out of the Arizona lemon in his time. But, and if you look, I mean, I can't remember what the number, like aging Phil Kessel was the best 40. I mean, he had Taylor Hall for a brief period, right? But like, there's not a lot of talent on those teams. He got a lot of results. I think he's a good coach until he wins. I don't think he's a great coach. Like, the Canucks did a lot. He had a lot of talent. This was the Canucks roster in 24 was the most talented team he'd had, right? And they got somewhere, right? And they almost beat the Oilers, but they weren't. I don't think anybody would argue that they were actually better than the Oilers. They had got a better goaltending performance than the Oilers ever did. but don't have
from
forwards.
a third string goalie. But yes.
Yeah, but like that's like
So here's my thing.
That's an organizational story, like.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I think he's a good coach. I do think so. I think he's a good coach. Look at the results he's getting in Philly. He has consistently improved his teams wherever he's been.
He may have a ceiling, but I'm not. I'm not disagreeing with you. My question is, and look, 4 straight wins has neutered this a little bit, but did they pick the right successor? Was the right successor not the guy down in Abbotsford without a Calder Cup championship ring to date?
Oh, I mean,
despite a trophy, despite winning a championship, not having the ring just yet. More on that in a second.
I mean, I don't think it's rocket science to know that they went with the guy. They went for the least complicated move, which was they didn't have to find another AHL coach.
They went with the guy who they hoped would keep Quinn Hughes here, and that blew up within a couple of months.
I mean, it was listen, it was a financial. I mean, there weren't a ton of options. You and I have talked about this. There were some options, right? But it was mostly financial. Come on.
Don't tell me there weren't a lot of options. There are tons of options when you're hiring an NHL coach. I hear this sometimes. What are the Leafs going to do if they fire Berube? DeBoer's the only guy out there. Bullshit. Look at Carver. Look at all these young guys who deserve chances and have done well with them. No, they wanted to keep Quinn Hughes. They hired his position coach despite his lack of NHL head coaching experience, hoping that having a guy who Quinn was familiar with and liked would lead to enough winning and enough good vibes to keep Quinn here. And they didn't win enough. And so that was that.
No. In the end, they didn't win enough. No. That's fundamentally the
truth. What I was very intrigued by this final line in your column. The newest ownership whispers the Canucks are set to switch banking sponsors next season to RBC. Along with the sponsorship, a source suggests the Aquilinis have secured preferred lending rates and access to all the Aquilini Group's businesses. If true, hello, cash flow. So is this the Paolo piece, Patrick? Like, is RBC running to the rescue and they're not actually going to go out and get a minority owner or investor? It's just going to be a big bank helping them out?
It certainly seems possible. It makes if in the end, how do they pay for stuff? I mean, this is what all developers pay for, right? Like they go to the bank and get, how do I get more money to pay for my stuff, right? And this is something all developers. I mean, I was talking to people in the development business the last few months. This is everybody's been running into this, right? If you're not, you depend on pre-sales. If you don't sell enough pre-sales, the banks won't lend you any money to complete the project. It's that simple. And if you're not getting any pre-sales, you don't have any cash flow. And if you're not getting any loans from the banks, you don't have any cash flow. If this comes to pass, which it sounds like it is, they have cleared that hurdle. And so that allows them to do whatever and makes them happy about their business. So, I mean, it's the Paolo buyout. It's unclear where it's at. I had heard there was still some things going on there. I mean, we obviously saw the lawsuit involving his son. Money. They're always happier when there's money available. I guess that's the best way to put it. So, yeah.
The question is just whether or not they're going to get are they going to get enough money here? Like what itches is this going to scratch? Like, is it going to come to the level of not needing a minority partner anymore?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and certainly that is what my guy said, was that I think this improves their position. He said, who knows what they do with it, right? Maybe there was sort of a notion that it would actually help the franchise value. And if the purpose, I mean, I'm not saying I don't think they're ever going to sell. This is something that consistently has been Francesco's thing to do, as he is in his mid-60s. It is his thing to do. And the more money it makes, the happier the family is, and the more inclined they are to keep it. If it's not making money, it still makes money. Like, that's the thing. That's why they jack the ticket prices, and that's why they grind down on expenses, and the margins are. They're not printing money the way they were in 15 years ago when they were in the playoffs every year. But like, I mean, I said, like, I wrote it. I mean, we were all sort of going, "Oh my goodness, they're not selling out against the Leafs." I'm like, well, they still almost. I mean, if you want to flip it around, they still almost did. Like, they've got a lot of people paying a lot of money for tickets. So, and if your financing's better, you're happier. That's all I know. I don't have a lot of money, but that's all I know.
I just hope Roberto saw the sales price of the Pittsburgh Penguins, that it doubled in 4 or 5 years for the Fenway Group, and brings it to the next family board meeting or supper table. Guys, we're gonna make like 6 times our money.
Well, and look what Tom Dundon's likely getting for the Hurricanes, right? Like a team that's had success for sure and well run, but and it's, you want to talk about a guy that keeps his sort of hands on the purse, right? And yet they do well and they're making a lot of money, and so their value's up, and he's looking for a minority investor, right? Like, that's kind of what everyone's doing. So the value of the growth and value of this team is astounding when you look at how much they actually paid John McCaw.
All this despite the fact they don't win at home, Patrick, which leads me to my next question. And the streak doesn't matter so much in and of itself, because streaks are just streaks, but big chunks of games may matter. If this team goes 11-4 over the next 15 games, or whatever the number is, a decent stretch, does that put Kiefer Sherwood trades on hold? Does that stop them from doing what they were looking like they were going to do?
Listen, I'm sure they're happy with their wins, but I think they also know the reality is that their PDO is the best in the league over the past week, right? 10.74. They have punched far above what you would expect given the breakdown in shots, the shot quality, just the reality of what's actually happening versus what is likely to happen going forward, right? Like, they listen, good for them. They've plucked away. They've taken their chances. They've made it work. Their penalty kill has been fantastic. I mean, that's a huge part of the story, right? Like, the penalty kills improvement is a massive story underneath all this. And yet at 5-on-5, they are still getting spanked. And, as someone said, well, no, that's just defense. I'm like, you can't play defense forever, right? Like, it's just the team shooters are too good in this league that if you keep giving them chances to score, they will score. So, I'm going to say the sky is falling and wait until it does. But listen, runs have happened before. You're absolutely right, Blake. Like, they could win a whole bunch of games here out of nowhere, partly because they do have some breaks. They're not, they obviously have that back-to-back next week, but it's here in Seattle. Like, that's not the same thing as,
not a treacherous schedule. No,
it's not treacherous. So they're busy like everybody else. But and they did beat a couple of good teams here, but partly just because they fought hard, right? Like, you look at, like, the Islanders game was so baffling. The Islanders came out gangbusters, were all over them, give up a goal, and basically stopped playing, and didn't do anything until the end of the game. Right? It was absolutely bizarre. I thought they were going to absolutely crush the Canucks. Boston played pretty well despite everything, right? Like, 41 shots. Kevin Lankinen, huge game, like, great for Kevin Lankinen. And yet the Canucks still took their chances, right? Like, you look at was it Carlson, the Carlson goal? Swayman's wandering out of the net, right? Like, Evander Kane just puts the puck in front and Carlson does what they tell you to do. He kept a stick on the ice, right? Like, it is a fun story. They're better without their two, their best defenseman, their best center. Well, no, they're not. Getting Pettersson back will make a big difference. There is absolutely no doubt about that, because then
you think he's better than David Kampf, huh?
Is not your second line center. Your team does get rebalanced better, but the truth is that you're still, you're still going to be chasing a lot of the game. So, I don't think anything changes. I still think they're going to trade Sherwood.
Yeah,
I think you're moving other guys. So
it is amazing though how many Canucks fans are drawing the line between Elias's absence and a 4-game winning streak. Last
he's been
question.
Playing well. Like people forget. Like he's been playing well, right?
He's been playing fine. Fine. I'll say fine, not well.
I'll say fine.
Anyway, but he's fine.
There have been moments of well. I'm more about fine.
He can, nonetheless, he can do things offensively that
yes.
Only Marco Rossi on this current lineup is capable of doing.
Fair enough.
I love Max Sasson, but Max Sasson's a fourth line center. David Kampf has done fine, but he's a fourth line center.
No, I'm not sure he has done fine actually.
Okay, fine. Anyway,
a lot of fun.
I think he's
no more.
I think he's
no more 4-letter F words, or I'm going to use a different one. I do want to ask you, what is your understanding of what has happened here in Abbotsford with Ringgate?
Well, I mean, the statement that came out at 3:30 after a bunch of us asked all day, Ben Lipka's story, like what fantastic reporting, right? And doing it right. So, I mean, he'd been working on this for weeks, and then I guess the timeline, if you want, is Dollywall hears about it, talks about it on radio, and Ben goes, okay, well, I guess let's try this again, and goes, here's our story, and lays it out, which is that people came to him and said, yeah, I don't know, and talked to management on background. Background's, yeah, well, we're gonna have to talk about that. People were fitted. I did talk to people. People were fitted in the summer, right? So what happened there? There's whether it was expense or perhaps person left. I don't know. I mean, I know Quaz's theory is that the person left. But
sorry, the theory is what?
Quaz had a theory. Well, I don't know, but that's kind of what he. But that's his theory.
But here's the thing: is there are oftentimes unfilled positions at Canucks Sports Entertainment. So it is highly possible.
It's totally possible
that somebody who had specific responsibility for this left. They did not replace them, and so the file just languished, and nobody above them was keen enough or detailed enough.
By the way, a simple Google search, which I did. I looked at the historic ceremonies for the rings in the AHL, October, November. I found one for the Charlotte Checkers in December 3rd. That was the latest one I found.
And this was Ben's, and I thought that was the most important point in Ben's story, was that, there was the Canucks had kind of hung out this mystery night in January, which is now, I think, actually, if you look, I mean, when I last looked, was not on their website. They've taken it off. But no, you're right. Like Ben's point is that the tradition generally is, if you're, whether it's a public ceremony or a private ceremony, because some teams just do something in private because there's not a lot of guys left over from the previous season and they've got to chase people. Is you do it either at the season opener or you do it very early in the year. So the idea that you're going to have a big surprise moment and not tell anybody, I mean, that just defies expectation, defines how people are, defies reality. It was such a case of, as I wrote in my thing, I opened with Ebenezer Scrooge correctly, because you need to learn about how to treat people right. And this is an ongoing issue here, which is that fundamentally you do, a lack of care for the people that do the work. And as I've said before, the number of people that I talk to who leave that organization now and are happier when they've left is unsettling. It should tell you everything. And it's really sad, because the number of people who used to be proud to work there was every single person.
Yep.
And now it's a case of let's lean on kids who are excited to work for a professional organization, and we will burn through people constantly.
Yeah.
And you already said it, Matt. Like there's, I mean, I haven't looked lately, but for much of the fall, there's been like 6 director level positions unfilled there. They lost a ton of people to the PWHL, I heard, right? And people who are good people, right? So it's just a constant ongoing thing. And I feel, I mean, I at a certain level, I feel for the people under pressure there, because a lot of people are walking, I'm excited. It's a professional sports team. And it should be better. And this, that you dragged your heels at best on getting rings, and then saying, there's a procurement problem or something, like stop blaming other people for your problems and just get it done. I'm tired of this.
It's one thing to treat the fans like ATMs, but when you have callous disregard for those who work for you, I guess one is the extension of the other. Okay, buddy, we got to run, but lastly, get his book, okay? The Gino book. You still have a couple of days before Christmas here. The Fighting Spirit of Gino Ojic by Patrick Johnston. You can pick it up here quickly from booksellers if you need it by the 25th, or just order it on Amazon or wherever else you get your books.
There you go.
Thank you for everything in 2025, my friend. We may catch up next week, but if we don't, we'll catch up in 2026. Merry Christmas to all the Johnsons.
Happy holidays, guys.
Thank you.